Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
You know, I think we gotta start this show off a different way than we usually do. The Leafs are bad, the Leafs are bad, the Leafs are bad, and it never gets better. The Leafs are bad, the Leafs are bad, the Leafs are bad, and I hate their existence. Wow! The Leafs lose again! Wow! To the Boston Bruins again! Wow! I hate everything about this team right now. Welcome in to Game Over Toronto following what was that? A apparent hockey game that the Toronto Maple Leafs attempted to play? That was... welcome in everyone. My name is Zach Payne and I am here to walk you through group therapy again because life is pain and there's no improvement ever, especially with this team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who decide week in and week out that they just haven't had enough of our pain and suffering and misery yet. So, yeah. Welcome in, everyone. We are going to recap yet another Leafs loss. 3 in a row now, 2 to the Boston Bruins, and another game where they looked horrible, and another game that we might start inching towards some territory that I did not expect us to be in. And by that, I mean, could Craig Berube's days be... count the days, boys. That seat is getting warm. I'll at least say that. It's not even entirely his fault. The Leafs just suck. As James Myrtle tweeted, the Leafs are now on pace for just 82 points. They lose Matthews and Stolarz tonight. Great. So for those of you that are new, welcome in, and we are going to walk through this game. That's what we do in the first segment. The second segment, we're going to talk about the big story. The third segment, smaller story. Fourth segment, Q&A. But for those of you who are returning, you know that I run this as an interactive show throughout. So feel free to drop your thoughts and comments throughout the stream, and I will be checking in with you guys because that's what the point is, that we talk out through this together. That's the point of group therapy, right? We all get a turn. We all get a chance to voice our misery with this team. I see David in here talking about, that's a lot of comment. Talk about how bad the Leafs are. Matthew summarizing, thank you. The Leafs suck and not sure if they even deserve to make the playoffs. Yeah, that's the long and short of it, right? That is the long and short of it. Matthews out may even be a good thing for this team. We'll see. Atlantic Division or in a wildcard spot? Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. We will see. So welcome in, everyone. We are going to walk through this game piece by piece. Admittedly, this was a game that I was pretty miserable throughout because, wow, that was horrible to watch. The score was 5-3 at the end of the day. That was a lie. That was a fallacy. This was a dominant effort by the Bruins, and the Leafs didn't feel like they were in this game for even a second, even though it was 5-3. And let's just start from the beginning. So to start this game, Nick Robertson is back on the first line. William Nylander goes down to the second line, and the Leafs are just trying some new things. Anthony Stolarz back to between the pipes, which... oh, baby. Okay, so early on, Jake McCabe, a ridiculous turnover, just completely fans on a clearing attempt. I don't know why he was panicking so much, but he flubs it, goes right to the Bruins. They get a 2-on-1 chance. Stolarz admittedly makes a pair of really nice saves on that 2-on-1. A couple of moments later, Philip Myers takes a horrible hooking penalty. There was no imminent threat. There was no reason to reach the stick in, but he reaches in and hooks. I believe it was Arvidsson or something. On that 5-on-4, the Bruins would get a bit of a bounce. Pastrnak throws it to the middle of the ice. It bounces off Pavel Zacha's foot and in from the high slot. Admittedly, while this is a bit of a bounce, I didn't love it from Stolarz. He didn't seem like he read the play well at all. He didn't even try to move towards the middle of the ice. He reacted really late. It was a very odd goal against from Stolarz. A couple of minutes later, McCabe takes a horrible penalty, slashing Jeannot's stick, breaking it in half. Maybe Jeannot's stick was already broken. I don't know, but he broke the stick. The official's going to call that every time. On that PK, though, the Leafs actually got a little bit of luck, as Charlie McAvoy, noted very good defenseman, egregious turnover by him, leaves it in the middle of the ice for Steven Lorentz, takes a couple of strides towards the middle, fires a shot home, beating Jeremy Swayman. Horrible giveaway from McAvoy. Honestly, should probably have been stopped by Swayman. Regardless, first of the year for Steven Lorentz, a shorty, and the Leafs tie the game at 1. But unfortunately, the parade to the penalty box would not stop there, as Simon Benoit would take, admittedly, this was a horrible call by the officials. They call him for a high stick. The TSN replay that I saw, it didn't look like he came close to hitting the head with the stick. Regardless, they call it, gives the Bruins 12 seconds of 5-on-3. They don't do anything with that, but on the Benoit penalty and on that power play, Hampus Lindholm would flick a wrist shot that beats Anthony Stolarz from distance. Not a particularly hard shot. There was a little bit of traffic in front, and I have a little bit of gripe with Carlo for not boxing out in front, but that is a shot that Stolarz can't let in. He's way too deep in his crease, and it's not a particularly hard shot. It's at worst, he's partially screened on the right side, but he had to be going left anyways. Horrible goal to give up for Stolarz. Makes it 2-1 Bruins. Second line got a couple of chances. Nylander was stopped point blank. Tavares had a chance in front. Neither were actually that dangerous in reality, but the location was right in and around the net, which is where you want to see the Leafs attacking, but they're unable to solve Swayman there. And then Brendan Carlo sends the puck up the boards to absolutely no one, turns it over. The Bruins are able to sustain a little bit more pressure, and then old friend Alex Steeves shoots from the left side of the ice. Again, not a particularly good shot, and Anthony Stolarz, somehow it leaks through the 5-hole, making it 3-1 Bruins. That would be... I don't know how. How is this a problem? How is a goalie not able to anchor against the ice? That is the third goal against the Bruins in the last 2 games that Stolarz has just inexplicably gotten beat along the ice, where he's unable to seal his pads against the ice. I don't know how this is a problem. I've never seen this before. Regardless, it's 3-1 Boston. That would be the end of Stolar's night. He did not return after the first period. Now we'll talk about why in a little bit. So to start the second, the Bruins did take a penalty at the end of the first, didn't do anything with it. The Leafs almost give up a shorthanded goal seconds into the second period. It was horrible. And then David Pastrnak left all alone. No idea what Morgan Rielly was doing on this play. On a breakaway, he buries past Dennis Hildeby his 400th career goal. Congratulations, David Pastrnak. He's had a very good career so far. 49 seconds in, and Hildeby had faced 2 grade A scoring chances, which is just absolutely unacceptable. Couple moments after that, Austin Matthews was hit hard by Zadorov into the boards. He would leave the game. We'll talk about that later as well. Dakota Joshua takes a puck over the glass call, and on that, there was just so many odd man rushes going on throughout this game that the Bruins got. It felt like I wrote here, it felt like the Bruins could have scored 10 tonight if they wanted to. The Leafs get a 5-on-3 for once, do absolutely nothing on the 5-on-3, but the second unit comes out for the second part of that power play, and Bobby McMahon buries on the backhand on a nice feed from Domi as well, so that gives the Leafs 1 to get back into it. Boston gets another power play after McMahon and Domi start a scrum by one of the benches where McMahon took a roughing penalty or something, and Domi got an offsetting with someone else. They go to the box, Bruins go to the power play. And then a few moments after that, like this is in the third period at this point, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson with a absolute knuckle puck. It sinks like 4 or 5 inches in the air, and Swayman just misreads it. It somehow goes in. The Leafs draw within 1, and I remember texting some buddies. I was like, how is this a 1-goal game? This feels like the most lopsided 1-goal game of all time right now. Regardless, Hildeby then stops someone in tight. I believe it was Morgan Geekie, although I didn't get a perfect look. Domi goes to the box after he goes after Zadorov, and I respect going after Zadorov for what he did to Matthews. At the same time, you got to do that earlier in the game when you're not trying to tie it up. You got to do it like you waited half the game to do this. You should have done it earlier. He goes to the box, gets 2 for roughing. On that power play, Pastrnak gets open on the backside. Very nice pass from Kastelik. Feeds Pastrnak. He buries past Hildeby, making it 5-3. That would be a lead the Bruins would not relinquish, and that put the game out of reach. McAvoy and Geekie started a melee after Sammy Blais went knee-on-knee with McAvoy, and then Zadorov also jumped in there and started on a melee. Blais gets a penalty for kneeing. Zadorov gets one for retaliatory roughing. Nothing happens in the aftermath of that. The Leafs get a power play with about 5 minutes to go. They ran a nice tic-tac-toe play to Matt Nyes in the middle. Didn't work. Nyes got another chance as well. did not work, and the Bruins would drain the rest of the time. They tried to get Pasternak the hat trick on the empty net. Didn't work, and that gets us to our final 5-3 Bruins. Leafs lose again because they suck. So, yeah, it was not great. Pyro checking in saying, "Ayo, watch bits of this game. Guh is all that can be said for this performance. Stolar's confidence got to be kicked in the nuts. Mentally is yeeted." Yeah. Man, I don't know what's going on with Stolarz. We will talk about him in the third segment, him and Matthews, the injuries that were accumulated throughout this game. We'll talk about that later because, woof, those goals, the second and third goal, unforgivable. What else we got? Wonder what's going on with Berube. Maybe that seat could be pretty hot if the guys aren't feeling him too. I mean, at this point, I put some, like, okay. I look at the third goal, the Steve's goal, and I look at the start of that play with a Carlo turnover, and I'm like, it's hard to discern sometimes whether it's player or coaching or both. I know Brandon Carlo's not great with the puck. There are options in the defensive zone, but Berube wants these guys to rim it hard around the boards and just clear it off the glass and out and then go work for it in the neutral zone. And I see plays like that, and I can't help but wonder if Carlo's being told to just rip it around the boards, and he does, and then it's picked off because there's no one along the boards because there's guys open elsewhere in the defensive zone. Turns into a turnover. I don't know. But I put the issues of the Leafs right now, it's probably 40 or 50% coaching and then 50 or 60% the players. Berube is the easy fix, to be fair, and we'll talk about that in a second. Berube might decide to quit as Leafs coach no later than last. I mean, that would be the ultimate, like, that would be so funny. If Berube just came out after this game and was like, "I quit. These guys suck. I'm gone. Bye." That would be so funny. St. Louis is in the bin too. Maybe Berube might want to come back. Yeah, no. I don't think Berube is going to be lasting long at this point, especially with the Matthews the ROR. Yeah, the O'Reilly stuff we talked about the other game. Matthews is not Ryan O'Reilly. Someone, I got to find this stat, but someone was charting out the percentage of ice time that Matthews has played against elite competition and comparing it to other stars around the league. So, for reference, the last couple of years, Connor McDavid plays against elite competition, aka other first lines, about 34% of the time. The Oilers, because obviously, if you have a star player, you want to maximize the gap between that player and the average NHLer. You want to get them out against like third liners, for example, as often as possible so they can feast in those matchups as opposed to just tilt them. Or McKinnon, I think, is at like 37%. Matthews, when he scored 60 goals in like 21 or 22, whatever, he was about 35% or around there. When he scored 69 goals, Matthews was at, I think it was 37%, or maybe it was 40%. And under Berube, he's at like 48% last year. We don't know what that information is so far this year, but he's closer to like 50%. He's playing against elite competition a lot more, and he's being used as Ryan O'Reilly. That's what Berube wants him to be. So it hasn't been great. Has not been great. We're going to talk about Berube in the second segment. Give me just a moment. I realized that my microphone was turned down in my computer. 1 second, fix that. Hopefully my audio is a little bit louder now. So, yeah, I'm going to turn this over to our second segment now. And with that, just a reminder, hit like, hit subscribe. We got 7 of you in here so far. Feel free to come hang out in the chat as well. And as we get into this second segment, we got to talk about Craig Berube. Now, the reason we're going to talk about Berube is because on Sunday after the game against the Hurricanes, we spent a lot of time talking about how the Leafs players have been bad. And we spent a lot of time talking about the issues the actual players have. Now, we can talk about the coach, because he has not been innocent in this. I do just want to check in with some of these. Craig Berube says they will have to see how Austin Matthews is tomorrow before assessing anything. Doesn't believe the Stolarz injury is serious. On Matthews, I don't know exactly. I can't give you a timeline right now. Okay, so we're just going to see. Anyways, this is the Berube part. So, Craig Berube. I think a few things have to be considered with this Leafs team. Number one, it's not a good team. quite simply has not been a good team so far. Players like Dakota Joshua and Nick Waugh have not had an impact. Matias Michelli has been better than his point totals indicate, but he's hardly a game breaker of any kind. The Leafs just feel like an average team, and that might be generous. They feel bad. They honestly have been overperforming, if anything. Now, it is important to note, last season, Craig Berube's first year with the team, the Leafs won the Atlantic Division for the first time. They made it to the second round. They made it to Game 7 of the second round. That is important because the Leafs were a boring team last year. They really did not generate a whole lot. And we've looked at the stats on this show in the past few weeks that the Leafs, in terms of shot generation and shot prevention and high quality shot prevention and all that, in terms of the advanced numbers, the biggest difference is the save percentage, which is fair, and that is a criticism. Stolarz has sucked. However, Berube has them playing a very low event style, and we've talked about the philosophy before. They want there to be as few high-quality chances in the game in general, and they're going to bank on their high-end talent to capitalize on those chances at a higher percent clip than their opponents will, because they have good goaltending in theory, right? Whatever. The problem is, the Leafs do not have a team built for the way Craig Berube wants to play. Craig Berube wants them to be a heavy forechecking team that gets in after it on the forecheck, works hard, grinds opponents down, and that isn't focused on skill, right? He wants them to be focused on the forecheck and on winning battles and playing hockey in a very old school way. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Okay, I want to clarify that. There's nothing inherently wrong with the way Berube wants them to play. The problem is the players that are here do not want to play that style and can't play that style. Max Domi is not big enough to be someone who gets after it on the forecheck. Matias Michelli is certainly not someone who's going to get after it on the forecheck and lay a heavy hit. Nick Robertson is not someone who's going to do that. William Nylander is not someone going to do that. For as much as Nylander had a nice moment against Carolina winning a forecheck, that's not his game, and that's not the star player's game. Matthews is very good in board battles, but that's not his primary asset, right? And again, we'll talk about the way that we've talked about the way Matthews has been deployed as a defensive center and a matchup center. He's being used as a Ryan O'Reilly, as a Barkov, he's not being utilized as a star offensive weapon anymore. And then the other piece to this is, so the Leafs don't have the personnel to do that, which is also a tree living issue, by the way. And I should mention, when I talk about Berube, his job might be, the seat is warming up. That applies to Tree Living as well. Tree Living hired Berube, and there was not a real interview process for that job. Craig Berube became Leafs head coach mentally in February of 2024. Well before that Boston series where Keefe would lose his job. They committed to Berube well before that. They were like, yeah, unless unless the Leafs go on a deep run, Berube is going to be the guy. And the Leafs did not go on a deep run. Berube came in, and there was no interview. They might have interviewed one other guy, I don't know. But it was very clear that Berube was their guy. And again, the Leafs were a very boring team last year. The difference is they won. This year, they are a boring team, and they're losing. And they're committing more egregious errors this year, and they aren't getting saves. And when you look, so there's a difference, right? Oh, by the way, I forgot to put this on. I probably should have put this on before the show. Remembrance Day. Poppies. Yeah, sorry, forgot about that. My bad. When you're a boring team, and this is like when the Islanders were having their Eastern Conference Finals runs under Barry Trotz. You can be a boring team if you're winning, because the fans will forgive it. But this is an entertainment product, and the Leafs are not entertaining. So you can be boring and win, and that's fine. But when you're boring and lose, it is infinitely worse because you look bad while losing. If the Leafs were entertaining, if the Leafs looked good, like when the Leafs were struggling under Sheldon Keefe, they at least looked okay, and they just lost, and there was smaller problems, and they weren't the best team, and they didn't get saves and all that. But they were at least entertaining when they lost. Now they just are boring. They have so many issues that the coaching staff just can't get through the players. I'm wondering if the team is just tuning him out at this point, because how many times are we going to see in a game that Berube is yelling at the players to stop turning it over, stop doing this, stop doing that, and they don't listen? Like, the players aren't listening, and we've seen coaches like this have a shorter shelf life. After Berube won that cup in St. Louis, his style got old quick, and it's not a coincidence that when the Blues did win the cup, the team that they had was not a forecheck heavy team. They were a possession-based team. They had a lot more skill. They had guys like Ryan O'Reilly, who was a good offensive player. They had like Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, they had all kinds of skilled players and then they also had very good defense, and they had Binnington, who blacked out. They were a possession-based team when they were succeeding the most under Berube. And I feel like he took the wrong lessons from that cup win. Maybe not. And he does have a Stanley Cup, so who am I to tell him what he does or does not do right? But what is clear, unequivocally, the Leafs are not constructed for the style of hockey Berube wants to play. And as a result, the message is already wearing thin, because they're like, we can't do this. And they're losing and looking horrible. I don't know. Matthew says they're not a boring team, they're a frustrating team. They're both. They are boring and frustrating, because the mistakes they make are incredibly frustrating. But they don't, it's not like they are this high-flying, super fast, will knock your socks off with the skill that's on display anymore, because they don't have a lot of it available. So time is of the essence right now. Berube has to turn things around in a hurry. Otherwise, this is going to start to wear thin very quickly. I'm going to turn us over to our third segment now. Again, just a reminder to hit that like button and subscribe to Game Over Toronto, and go follow the Game Over Network on social media. And if you want to support the Game Over Network, be sure to check out thegameovernetwork.com/store. We've got merch available: hoodies, shirts, hats, mugs, you name it. We've got it for every Canadian market, every Game Over French or city that we have. And you can also check out, if you want to support the Game Over Network in any other way, we have our Patreon link in the description. That includes a link to our Discord. So if you want to come chat hockey with some like-minded people, that would be the way to do it. And that's where you can find us. Okay, this third segment, now we'll talk about the injuries that happened tonight. So Anthony Stolarz, I did mention the updates on them, but Anthony Stolarz did not return to the bench after being pulled due to an upper body injury. Austin Matthews also left with a lower body injury. Now, we'll talk about Stolarz first, and then Matthews in a second, because we're less sure on Matthews. But Stolarz, Berube said, I don't believe it's that serious. I think he'll be fine. Happened on a play in the first during a net front battle. He got a little stretched out. Available Thursday. I hope so. We'll see. So it's not like this has been a lingering issue. I know people have talked about the icing of the knees and whatever, after the last few games, and that might be a thing. If he's hurt, don't play. I'm sorry. If you're injured, don't play. We can, that can't be an excuse. So he got hurt in this game. Stolarz needs time off, man. And there was a time where Jack Campbell was horrible for the Leafs. Absolutely unplayable. So you know what the Leafs did? They sent him away. And I don't mean traded. They didn't send him down. They literally said, you're hurt now. You're hurt. Go on vacation. Go take a month off and refocus, reset your mind, and then come back and we'll get you back in the fold. Stolarz needs a mental reset. He needs a gypsy at this point. He needs something. He needs to just be away and go on an Aaron Rodgers style, blackout, just ayahuasca retreat, because oh my Lord, Stolarz has been horrible this year. Horrible. How many games are we going to go with him giving up multiple unacceptable goals in a game? Unacceptable. I got nothing. I've got nothing. This is a guy that last year was unbelievable. He was one of the best goalies in the entire National Hockey League. And this year he's one of the worst. This year he doesn't look like an NHL. That Alex Steves' goal, ECHL goalies make that save. Dennis Hildeby sure as hell makes that save. And it beats Stolarz clean. Like, he gets a piece of it, but it can't, like, those can't go in. They can't go in. The jam play that the Bruins ran the other night can't go in. Pasternak, even though he pants Benoit, beats you under your pad, can't go in. Even the Lindholm goal where he just flicks it on from the point, that can't go in. None of these can be going in ever, let alone consecutively, let alone in your last 2 starts. Stolarz has now been pulled in his last 2 starts, and I would rather start Hildeby on Thursday. Hildeby is the Leafs' number 1 goalie until Woll gets back. Because Primo was a disaster, but we knew that. Stolarz has been so unusable. Dennis Hildeby should be the Leafs starter for the next couple of games until Joseph Woll is back. And honestly, like, Berube is saying I don't think it's that serious. He'll be fine. You know what's crazy? IR. Oops. Setback. Make it up. You now have the built-in excuse to put him on IR, give him a week or 2 off, or a couple weeks off, and just completely reset. Completely reset. Go away. Literally just go away. Go have a mental reset. This is your time. Go to Fiji. Go to somewhere. Go to a beach somewhere. Go lay on a beach for a few weeks. Get away from hockey and just reset your mind. Come back refocused and get back to work, because this is unacceptable. You can't play him again the way he's been playing for the last week and a bit. You can't play this guy. You can't. I realized I probably should catch up on chat. Pyro said, Joshua has disappointed me. I had huge hopes from. Notice Atlantic Division winning is a curse. Now, it's not a curse. The Leafs just aren't good this year. Look what happened in New York and Boston, Florida too. I mean, Florida won the Stanley Cup twice. So, yeah. And they still made, like, they traded Huberdeau, and then they still made the playoffs, and then they went on a cup final run, lost. So, they still made the playoffs. Loving Keefe in New Jersey, yeah. He's a good coach, man. He's a good coach, but it just didn't work here. Although, we'll see what we'll see what Keefe does in the playoffs for the Devils, because that's where his style could get problematic. I don't see Berube lasting past Christmas. We'll see. From what I'm seeing too, Dallas job might be coming up too. Speaking of Dallas, Pete DeBoer, what are you up to what is Pete DeBoer up to right now? Stoley is cooked. Stolarz has a hurt heart. I would have thought it would be a lower body injury. He's butthurt. You know what? If Anthony Stolarz, like, they're saying upper body injury, cool. If there is any semblance of a chance that he didn't come back out because he got pulled and was like, I'm not going back out there, that is beyond unacceptable. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is hurt and that he just was like, you know what, my shoulder hurts or something, and like, if you absolutely need me, I'll be back out there, but for the meantime, I'm going to stay in the locker room, then that's fine. Like, that'd be, man, this stupid thing. Man, I need a poppy that has the center not get completely dislodged every second, because, my lord, these things are annoying sometimes. There, stay. Thank you. But yeah, if there's any chance that he didn't come out because he's like, screw this, then we have to have a much more serious conversation. We waived Primo for goals like what Stoli is giving up. Yeah, that Columbus game, if you put Stolarz from the last 2 games against Boston in that Columbus game, the Leafs don't do better. I'll say that. Maybe let a guy sneeze on Stoli. He needs the time off. Florida did that record season by a terrible postseason, so it was short. So they had a terrible postseason when they won the President's Trophy, but the Rangers got cursed hard. The Rangers were always fraudulent. I don't know how I know how. The Rangers only made the Eastern Conference Finals because the Metro is a joke. It's a complete joke. Stoli has indeed become unplayable, although so is Primo. Yeah, but this isn't a Primo. Like, Primo's gone. The bad man is gone. Primo's gone. The Leafs need a long road trip. Yeah, we've been saying it for a while on this show. They need it, but regardless, if it's screw this, then big problem. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. There's the $2 poppy pin from the Leafs. Yeah, I should probably have just invested in. Don't they have poppies that have like a clip in at the other end? So it, regardless, I'm pretty sure I don't even know where I got this. I might have picked it up off the street. You can also get a small Canada flag pin and use that in the center. Yeah, I prefer just the regular poppy. Regardless, important to remember. To remember all the fallen soldiers that allow us to do stupid things, that fought for a country that allows us to do stupid things like talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs sucking on a show. Never forget. Okay, the other part, Austin Matthews also left this game due to an injury. Now, they're classifying it as a lower body injury, so we don't know what that means because hockey injuries are notoriously vague. If there is any chance that this is his wrist, I'm going to lose my mind because for years he has not gotten surgery. Well, he got a surgery a few years ago and then missed the start of the season, whatever. But he's done this managing the injury thing where it's like, oh, if it flares up, he'll miss a couple of games, come back, play injured, and then be compromised. You called New York Rangers frauds, not just like but love button in the faces, but I mean they are frauds. Look at the runs that they had. The Metro was so bad. It was just Shesterkin being a relatively good goalie, and the Rangers had a good power play. 5-on-5, they were atrocious. And that's why when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, they got smacked every time. They got smacked by Tampa. They got smacked by, who was it? Did they get smacked by Florida? Yeah, Florida. Even the games that the Rangers won in those series, it's like, how are they winning? And then they didn't because the luck runs out eventually. Regardless, with Matthews, if there's any chance that it's his wrist, sit him through the new year. I don't care. Give Matthews' health is too important to have him play injured. Because we've seen in the past, yeah, he can play injured and still be effective. But when he's fully healthy, he's dominant, or can be. We've been told he's healthy this season. We've seen glimpses, but we haven't seen dominance. And so I wonder if I'm wondering if he just flared up an injury again. I'm wondering. When it comes to Austin Matthews' health, I never assume that he's fully healthy because his body betrays him. He's not going to have a super long career. He'll probably be, I would be shocked if he's playing by his age 35 season because his injuries are just going to be too, like he's going to be one of those guys that gets LTIR retired in several seasons. Like he's going to get to like age 32, sign like a 6-year deal to cash in for one last time in his career, and he's not going to finish that contract because his body's breaking. His body's going to betray him. And honestly, it's such a shame because when he's at his best, Austin Matthews is bar none the best goal scorer in the NHL. He hasn't been healthy for a couple of years now. And he legitimately could have scored like 800 goals if he was fully healthy, or at least like 750, 700. And now I'm like, well, Matthews has been fully healthy for almost 2 years. Hasn't been. He was not healthy last year at all. Now, I'm willing to believe he's more healthy this year than last year, but fully, color me skeptical on that one. Color me skeptical. I don't think, and this is a tough reality. I don't think Matthews is ever going to be fully healthy again. I don't think he's ever going to be fully healthy again. We are never going to see another 60-goal season from Matthews. Never. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Matthews is looking like he's having trouble beating Sundin. He's like 10 away. He'll beat Sundin easily. Like Matthews is still going to score minimum 500, probably get to 600, but he's not going to push into that like true upper echelon of goal scorers in NHL history. He is going to be a comfortable 600 goal scorer, but he's not going to. Unfortunately, he won't be able to push into the truly elite tier. So whatever the case with Matthews' health, we'll have to we'll monitor it closely. We'll talk about it on Thursday, but yeah. And I don't love that no one did anything either, by the way. Like Zadorov hits Matthews from behind. Everyone on the Leafs is like, that should have been a penalty. Where is the response? Max Domi sort of tried to, like an hour later, and got a penalty. Where's the immediate response? Did you, like, what the Boston Bruins did when McAvoy got hit knee on knee? They start a melee. There was no hesitation. Geeky immediately gets in Blaze's face, and then Zadorov flies halfway across the ice to tackle him. And then McAvoy also starts a bunch of shenanigans in the corner against Nick Waugh. Like, the Bruins as a team, immediately when they thought there might have been the slightest hint of something bad, immediately start a melee. Austin Matthews gets hit from behind into the boards. Nothing. For all the talk about toughness and standing up for each other and being a team that is hard to play against, where is it? Nowhere to be found, and it never will. This team is not built like the Boston Bruins. And when I say not built, the culture is not built like the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins roster has been completely flipped over in the last couple of years. And yet somehow, every single time that you play Boston, anytime anything goes the slightest bit wrong, melee. The Leafs culture still stinks. We talked about it a month ago. I haven't brought that part up in a while. Leafs culture still stinks. They haven't done anything to fix that. With that being said, I'm going to turn us over to our fourth and final segment. This is the part of the show where we invite questions. So if you have any Leafs-related questions, hockey-related questions, anything at all, I know this is a bit of a shorter show today. Oh, well. Well, there's only so much to say. I said that on Sunday, but there's only so much we can possibly say about this team. So if you have any questions, this is the time of the show to get those in the chat. And as you do, just a reminder, hit that like button, hit subscribe to Game Over Toronto, ring that notification bell. Go follow all the Game Over channels as well. We've got Game Over Montreal pushing for 1,000 subscribers. We've got Game Over Calgary that's doing stuff. I'm pretty sure there's something going on the main Game Over Network channel this week. Some sort of like stream watch along thing. I don't know what it is. The main Game Over Network, the main Game Over Network channel, go check them out as well. We had, I'll share this with you guys. We had a funny situation. Well, kind of frustrating. We woke up this morning and every single Game Over Network channel was gone. Because every single Game Over Network channel last night got banned for spam on YouTube's guidelines. And so we had to spend like the first few hours this morning contacting YouTube support and getting the channels back online. So that was really funny. I want to share with you guys. We had a scare where the channel just disappeared and was banned for like 12 hours, which was funny. But we got it back up and running, and we're here now, so that's all that matters. Dang it, YouTube. It was actually, well, someone reported them all. Like, someone reported every single Game Over channel for spam, and whatever message they put behind it, it was really funny. I don't know, like, some random guy or gal just randomly was like, yeah. Okay, let's get into your questions. Matthew. Hold on. Matthew said first, they would have stepped up for Matthews, but they are passengers. Yeah. Pyro saying, what would you like for the next alternate Leafs jersey? I'd love to see a full orange-blue one. Orange for that Irish theme. I would like a full green. We have the white and green St. Pat's, but I would like a home version of that, like a green St. Pat's. I really do. I did like the second iteration of the reverse retros, and they wore it like once. They were really nice though. I liked those ones. But yeah, the full green St. Pat's would be cool. I would also like one that has like white, like where it's like blue in the chest, and like you guys know the first reverse retro, like the ugly gray. If that gray was just white, where it was white on the top of the sleeves and then blue on the bottom side of the sleeves, I'd like that. That'd be cool. Matthews is in the second season of a 4-season contract. Is it too soon to think that maybe Tree Living will make some trades at some point this month? Oh, sorry, I don't think the Matthews point is connected to that. Is it too soon to think that maybe Tree Living will make trades at some point this month? He absolutely should be exploring any and all possibilities because this team is not it. The problem is the way that hockey GMs view the sport is very ancient. They are not very forward thinking. And so it's going to be difficult to trade, but that's why you get paid millions of bucks. They said on the broadcast that Domi is such a weird match for Zadorov, but who else would you send? What happened to Joshua? Isn't he supposed to be the big tough guy? Joshua absolutely should have fought Zadorov. I said that before the game. He should have fought Zadorov for what he did to Lawton. Nothing. Nick Waugh, maybe. He's like 6'3". Nyes even could have done it. Lawrence, McCabe, Carlo. That's the guy. Brandon Carlo, go fight your old team. Zadorov wasn't around that much when you were a Bruin, so that would have been a good matchup, but Carlo's soft. Yeah, I don't know. It should not have been Domi, that's all I know. And McMahon already did it, so it shouldn't have been him either. Probably Stolarz himself. Maybe. Oh, yeah, Benoit. Oh, my lord. Send Benoit down. Benoit stinks. Benoit and Myers, I never want to see again. I'm going to have to see them both, but I never want to see them again. Oh, my lord, they suck. Can we bring up Pizzetta? Wave murmurs if you need the spot. You know what? For a game or two, sure. Because he sucks. Pizzetta sucks. But he'll do two things. He will skate fast and he will fight. And he will hit anything that moves. I guess that's three things. So, sure, give Pizzetta a game. Take Lawrence out or take someone out and give him a game. Why not? Just get some energy in there. Of the Game Over channels, I think those covering the Flames, Leafs, and Habs are active. So yeah, David, the rest of them we paused them before the season. We're planning to bring the rest of them back January 1st, like in the new year. That's just some other stuff. They were we paused them right before the season. We were like, yeah, we're gonna pause these, and I was like, well, I want to keep doing Toronto, so I kept doing Toronto. And that's why you haven't seen the other hosts as well, is because, yeah, we technically paused Game Over except for Montreal, and then Calgary decided to keep going, and I decided to keep doing Toronto. Do you trade Robertson while he's hot? If you get a good offer, but I don't think you will, unfortunately. Like, remember the whole Robertson for Chinnikov rumors that were going on? I don't make that deal right now. Unless the Blue Jackets add. Robertson's been too good. He's been too good. Oh yeah, we're in the fourth segment. I forgot to switch over. Oh well. Aside from that, I'll give you guys a moment to ask any last second questions, but I think that's where we're going to wrap up. Bit of a shorter show tonight, as I mentioned. So thank you everyone for being here following another Leafs loss, because the Leafs suck and we know that. Oh well. If you want to support the Game Over Network, make sure to go follow the Game Over Network on all social medias, subscribe to Game Over Toronto, ring that notification bell, click like on the stream as well. You can find me on social media at Zach Payne 41 on Twitter, Bluesky, and YouTube. On YouTube, I make football content if you're interested in that. You can see the Detroit Lions gear behind me as well. So if you're interested in any football content, Zach Payne 41, go check that out. And aside from that, that is going to be it for this one. Matthew with one last question. Would you put Yarncroke back in? I would. Yeah, why not? Blais was not good tonight, and he took a penalty, and he also had a weird sequence on the power play where he faked a shot multiple times and completely flubbed it before that 5-on-3. That was horrible to watch. Horrible to watch. I watched the last 5 minutes or so of the third period of this week's game after the Leafs have been trailing 4-3. Yeah. Why'd you do that? Why'd you put yourself through that, man? Why'd you put yourself through that? I'm so sorry. Anyways, so yeah, thank you everyone. I'll be back on Thursday following Leafs and Kings. I'm not looking forward to that because the Kings are one of the best road teams in the league, but naturally that'll be one that the Leafs win somehow. So we'll be back on Thursday. And until then, my friends, take care of yourselves. Have a good night. And of course, make sure you got a poppy for Remembrance Day. It's always good to remember, lest we forget. So yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good night. See you on Thursday. Cheers.